The views and opinions expressed by the guests of Sasquatch Experience do not necessarily reflect the opinion of the hosts, sponsors, or affiliates of the Sasquatch Experience. As always, listener discretion is advised.
911, what are you reporting?
We got someone or something crawling around out here.
Does a legend walk among us, lurking in the forests of our world?
Did you see what it was? Was it a person or an animal or?
I can't tell. All I know is that my sensor light came on and I just happened to glimpse and see this thing running across the yard. A good-sized man or something. It looks like a man. I don't know what it was.
For over 15 years, we've talked with scientists, researchers, investigators, and witnesses, trying to gain insight and proof around the existence of this mysterious entity.
Jesus Christ, you better...
Sir?
Tia!
Hello?
Get somebody out here.
What's going on now, sir?
That son of a bitch is about 6'9", I don't know.
Do you see him now, sir?
Yes, I'm looking right at him.
Uh-oh. Okay, hang on.
He's right...
Is he in your yard, sir?
Yeah, God, he's big.
Okay, what's he doing in your yard?
He's looking at me.
Join us as we continue into the investigation of the Sasquatch Experience. And good evening, everyone. Welcome to Sasquatch Experience Monday, March 14th, 2022. And we're back this week after a great show last week with our good friend Corey Lekapoy in our episode titled Maple Leaf Monsters, which posted Saturday. Sorry for the delay on the posting of that podcast, but we had to try to clean it up a little bit. Some technical issues that weren't really solved, but we try our best to bring you a good quality content. So hopefully we won't have any audio issues tonight. Guys, what's happening? Henry, Vance, Bake Shop? What's going on, brothers?
It's a sad, sad day.
Why is it a sad day, James?
Well, Razor Ramon died.
Yeah, the bad guy.
I thought it was last week, but we're not getting into that.
James Baker's precognizant abilities raised their heads. It was lucky. You just took out a lucky shot. Lucky for you, not lucky for Razor Ramon. But needless to say, sad day. If you're a professional wrestling fan, just sad, man. I got no other words for it besides that. But it's not a professional wrestling show. It's a Bigfoot show. Not the Bigfoot show. A Bigfoot Show, Sasquatch Experience. Folks, I'm wearing a Where Are the Bones t-shirt. You can't really see it there. But if you'd like to get a copy, if you'd like to pick up one for yourself, down at the bottom of the screen here, get your copy. Yeah, get your copy. Get your shirt by Jonathan Dodd Draws and go to the website there across the ticker and pick up this great quality t-shirt. I like it. I have to thank Seth Breedlove for turning me on to it, but... we're going to do a little bit more of this each and every week that we have a live show. What do you think, guys? Vance, you're still muted. I'll take care of you. There you go. You were muted, buddy.
No. Is it soft and supple?
It is soft and supple. Just the way I like it.
That's all that matters to me. Really.
How about it? What's up, Vance? How you doing?
I'm doing good. We had our first... day of what I call pre-spring, so it was t-shirt weather, this time of year in the northern Illinois region. I happen to be out in the Oregon, Illinois region of Illinois last week. Very squatchy area, lots of hills, lots of forest lands. And, of course, I kept my eyes peeled, looking for anything that may be kind of relevant. But there comes a train, and right on time. Way to go, Bacon. Right on time. Maybe we'll schedule our shows at, I don't know, 8:05.
9:05.
Until the train passes. But very squatchy area out there, and I will definitely be going back out there and hitting some of the hills When I say hills, they are glacier-ridden areas that created uprisings and hills and forest lands, and it's very beautiful out there. It's kind of unsuspecting for Illinois to have regions like that, but it runs like that up through northwestern Illinois into the Galena area, and I know there's been a lot of reports that come out of there, so I'm looking forward to doing that as long as I'm still here, and then I'll get down to the Ohio area.
Yeah, before you make that move, right? I'd be interested to see some reports that you make from that area. And, of course, we know James Baker's here, as we heard the train.
Mm-hmm.
And, guys, tonight, we're just going to let it go. Guys, tonight we're going to talk about a couple Bigfoot videos. Now, these videos have been around for a long time. They're not new videos by any means, but because Season 5 is all about farther north, these are videos that have come from Canada. The Prince Edward Island footage from 2001, and then the Manitoba Bobby Clark footage from 2005. Now,
right.
The was it 2005 or 2007?
Yes, no, it's 2005.
It was 2005.
Yeah,
right.
I remember when that video came out. I was on the Bigfoot forums, and at that point in time, if it was a new piece of evidence, it was really scrutinized.
Right.
And Henry, was there ever a determination on what it was that the Manitoba footage was?
Not really. It may have been the Sasquatch, but it was so doggone blurry you couldn't tell anything from it.
Well, let's go to the video here, because I am going to pull it up for us. Let me share my screen, as we do have that technology now.
Oh, maybe.
And here we go.
Maybe.
A Current Affair, if you remember that show, folks.
Yeah, I don't see it, though. Yeah, if anybody remembers the TV show A Current Affair, they would cover all sorts of different interesting topics throughout the country. And they happen to grasp onto this.
And there it is. And that's, you can see the figure there on the shoreline.
All I see was just this figure. I knew it couldn't be a man.
And that's not YouTube quality. That is just the actual quality of the videotape.
Right.
That's what I was saying, because it was so blurry.
Jiggle.
Yeah. Well, you got to remember that.
Yeah, this was 2005, before the entire smartphone revolution with the camera technology. I believe this was done with a camcorder.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, very low res. But to our guest last week, Corey Lecapoy lives in that area of Manitoba. And he knows the hot spots in that area. And, of course, in his testimonial to us last week, he's had 3 different witness or personal encounters with something that he just categorizes as Sasquatch. So, quite possible.
I don't know. What are your guys' initial thoughts with it?
Well, go ahead, guys.
It's really blurry. It's really like jiggly camera, and I don't know. Like, a lot of these videos, I like to see what they were shooting before and what they shot afterwards. I mean, did he abruptly stop, or what? Me as a photographer or a video guy, if I'm going to stay there and watch the creature, I'm just going to wait until it disappears. Like, you're already in danger. You're already whatever. What is the extra 2 minutes, whatever? Like, where'd it go? Did it go left? Did it go right? Did it stop jiggling and fall to the ground? Like, we want a little more.
That's a good question, Henry. And I'll shoot this to you because you and I were, in the thick of it back then. Do you remember? I don't think any of us ever seen the footage that wasn't aired on A Current Affair. It was bought by A Current Affair.
Right.
So, James, to your point, I don't know if anybody's ever seen more of that footage than we have. Maybe Matt Moneymaker, Henry?
Maybe so. I was be a good question to ask him at the Ohio Bigfoot conference.
Yeah, let's mark that down, Bake. Or, yeah, guys, Bake, Henry. I'm going to make a note of that because it's important. I think you make a good point with that because even with the Patterson film, and we go to that old chestnut, the Patterson film, there's before and after footage.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't get that with hardly any of these. With the Freeman footage, I mean, I don't think you get a lot of the after footage, but you get a lot of the, him going around the D-Dock area. But I don't think there's anything after it. With this one, all you see is the image of the blurry creature walking across the creek bed. Now, people, or the river bed, people ask, well, why would it be out there? Well, it could have been foraging for food. I don't think there'd be any other reason for it to be out in the open like that, unless it was looking for a meal. And we have had many reports up and down the West Coast of these, and actually even here in the East, of these things trying to dig up clams, freshwater clams.
Right. Right. And who doesn't like a fresh clam?
It's all about the shucking.
Well, there's the other video that I sent you today, Sean, of the Cass River in Michigan. It's walking across a river. And again, you can speculate, is it or is it not? That's fine. But it still brings you back to the whole, aspect of, why would it be in a waterway? Now, in that video specifically, it shows, and the narration of it shows that it's walking along the power line grid. And how many researchers say, that these creatures travel along power line grids because there's a clearing in the woods, and it happened to cross over a river, to walk through the river to get to the other side and continue walking through, the clearing for the power lines. Yeah, that's very possible. I don't know what to make of that video. If anybody hasn't seen it yet, you can Google or YouTube search Cass, Cass River in Michigan.
I'm going to go ahead and play it here, Vance. Let's
Okay.
see here.
All right.
I'm going to do this again. Everybody bear with me here.
And of course, this is an independent researcher that took the film and broke it down for us so that we could see it in different speeds. I don't know if you have to play the whole thing, but it's interesting. I can't say it is or it isn't, but
now there's some audio with it,
right.
So
right.
We'll go ahead here and I'll play that, guys. All right, and go.
This photo, and then he was having difficulty sending the video. They finally sent us a video. It's 4.7 seconds long. He says, my cousin was kayaking on the Cass River here in Michigan when he took this picture. Not sure what it is, but I've sent it to a few people, and some say it's Bigfoot carrying an infant. Others say it's Bigfoot carrying a deer. Okay, we've got the video. I've done several things with it, and so I'm going to walk you through the stages of me breaking down the video, trying to figure out what it is. I'll show you the original. Then I will slow it down 50%, then 25%, then 15%. Then I'll run them all together stabilized. I'll separate each with a time lapse. Here they go.
Well, I remember.
Well, that's interesting right there.
I remember.
But what I
Now-
don't see is the deer thing. Saying that it was carrying a deer or an infant. I haven't been able to identify that yet.
Well, I think
not
the
yet.
interesting part of that, it could be somebody in a costume or a suit of some sort. It really could. There's
Sure.
nothing
It could have
about
been a
that
fisherman in chest high waders too. And I've seen
ghillie
those
suit.
waders that are kind of an orange color also. So yeah, and it could have been a Carhartt coat. I don't know what the temperature was outside. So, and Carhartt coats are kind of that, orange golden color, along with the similar color, waders is a fisherman maybe. But again, there are some characteristics in that video that present some questions that go, it's possible, I suppose. I just do not see it. What they reference to a lot of the people that responded to that video saying, "Oh, it's carrying an infant or it's carrying a deer." That I haven't seen.
Yeah, for
I'm
the
looking hard. I've watched that ever since it came out like a year ago. I've watched it several times now, and I just haven't been able to identify that part of it.
for the folks listening to this as a podcast, I'm going to include the videos in the show notes so you can click on them and view them at your at your leisure. But I want to put them on there so sometimes we forget this is an audio podcast as well. So I want them to be able to play along
Right.
with it. And we'll do all that homework for you. All you have to do is click and watch.
How convenient.
Henry, what's your take? Cass River.
It looks like it's probably a person, possibly, but it's really hard to tell. It's not. The video is not very long. It's
Right.
like a few seconds,
Right.
and it's really hard to determine anything from it. I think that the individual who the video that we just played is Kelly Shaw from the Rocky Mountain Sasquatch organization, who has had a tendency to be wrong about supposed Sasquatch evidence in the past.
Yeah, well, I mean,
That's
I
an interesting
appreciate.
take, right.
Yeah, I appreciate that somebody actually, posted it out there and slowed it down and did a little work with it. I don't want to show the whole video, but folks, we'll put the link in so you can go and, of course, view it on his channel. I don't know the credentials of the person who did it. I just found the video quick and put it up there. You make your own determination. I'm not here to say who's legit or not. At this point, I just want you all to be able to get on there and see it, because these things, as long as Bigfoot research has been going on, video is that one exception that we can't just seem to get. Photographs, video, you know what I mean? Video, visual evidence is just something we're lacking. And when it comes, it's like a miraculous event because of the rarity of it. And we don't get a chance to, like 4.5 seconds is all that video was.
Right.
Yeah.
4.5
But again,
seconds, that's
you know,
not a lot of time.
No, not at all. But then again, you have some of the, let's say, more pronounced, more notorious individuals in this community, like Cliff Barrickman, Bobo, that have seen photographic evidence that is to them very convincing, but is not released to the public, to us, or I would be able to look at it and say, wow, that's incredible. And I've heard that on the Dogman aspect also, where there's, incredible photographs from, camera traps that have captured this thing, but it can't be released to the public.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, I want to see
Well,
it.
and
let's settle this argument.
And I talked about that when I was with Dave Scott last week on Spaced Out Radio. His question was if I was to stumble on, video evidence, or if I had the evidence, would I put it out there? And my answer was simply no, I wouldn't, because I think it distracts more from what's going on. It's never going to be good enough. Know, it's just going to be one more hindrance. Now, to your point, I had dinner with Cliff a couple years back, and I had asked him a question about, and actually when we had him on this show, we asked him about, has he seen any evidence, photographic wise, that is compelling? And he said, yeah, but they just won't release it. And I respect that. Like, do I get envious? Absolutely. But
yeah, I want to see it.
I mean, Jenny makes a good point about the Cass River video. Did anyone go into the water to see how deep it was at the time?
You know what? That is something there's probably 4 or 5 different releases from different individuals that put that video out. And I don't believe any one of them have said that they actually were in the water. The footage was shot from a kayak. So I'm assuming the water probably was not that deep to begin with. And I didn't look at any topographical maps to see what the depth of the Cass River was at that time of year. It's clearly in the summer season because of the foliage on the trees. But Yeah, that's a good question. It really is, because if it's 8 foot deep, then there's no way that an 8 foot tall creature would have its head that far above the water, let alone carrying something.
Now, Henry, let's slip back to the Manitoba footage once, because at the time, the height of the creature was also in question. Do you remember what the measurement that they estimated that thing was at height? It was tall.
I think they said 7 to 8 foot.
Did they? For some reason in my mind, I'm thinking 9 feet is why it's just stuck in my head.
It may have been 9 feet. I really don't remember what.
Which
they
is
estimated.
tall.
Yeah, it is pretty tall.
Yeah, it's gargantua.
Yeah, that's large size. But again, we go into reports where we think 7 feet is tall, and for the average person, it is quite tall. But you throw 7 to 9 feet tall. Some instances, these things are reported in a lot higher heights than that, 10 plus feet tall. Like, you would think at that point it'd be pretty hard to hide.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask you guys a question, and of course our listeners too. Most homes, not all homes, but most homes have a 8 foot ceiling. And I've always used that as a judge of height. When I'm looking, from my couch or whatever, there you go, Bake. It's an 8 foot ceiling. And you see the top of a head that's actually touching the ceiling, and you're looking at it going, oh, good God, that thing is that would be monstrous. And of course, with a lot of the, witness encounters and descriptions saying it's barrel chested, it's 4 feet wide, it stood 8 foot to 9 foot tall. I always have done that. I've always used my ceiling height as a gauge to go, yeah, that's incredibly tall. Because
How tall are you?
I'm 6'1".
Okay,
and,
yeah. So
I'm dwarfed by that. I got plenty of headroom here. So
I use my tall friends as characters, in judging how tall a Bigfoot would be. Usually, Brother Ray, who's about 6'3", 6'4" in a good day, I usually use him as the stand-in, and he's also, a big fella.
Right.
So it helps when you're trying to judge not just height, but also girth of the being, right? The massiveness of the creature, because again, that's something you have to consider when you're looking at this photographic evidence, this video evidence. Without some clear proportions or something to scale it against, it's really difficult to judge, and trees aren't always an accurate judge.
No. But I do have to give credit to some of these encounters that have happened in the past where there's either been a photograph or the witness said, it walked clearly underneath this branch, and of course they go out there and they measure that branch, and that branch happens to be anywhere between 9 and 10 feet high up in the air, and it clearly just cleared walking underneath that branch. Kudos to those people that took that observation into account so that they could get kind of a general height of what it is that they're seeing walking underneath there.
Yeah, and again, when you have
go
something
out there with a tape measure and you end up at 10 foot, it's time to pack your bags and move.
How about it? Like, that's ridiculous at some points.
Intimidating, right?
How about it?
Yeah, very.
How about it? We almost time here. Before we get into anything else, let's do a little promotion. Folks, you can follow us on social media. Sasquatch Experience at Facebook and Instagram. Squatch EXP on Twitter. Go to our website, SasquatchExperience.com, which needs a little bit of an update. And, of course, become a supporter of our Patreon. Starts for as little as $2 a month. $2 a month. You get ad-free shows and a bunch of stuff we got working on in the can. Some more watch-alongs coming your way. We get the four of us to sit down and do some audio commentary on your favorite Bigfoot horror films.
Can't wait.
And if they're not good enough to get us canceled, I don't know what will be.
Call the fact checkers. Yeah.
How about it?
We should do the Bigfoot movie.
We
will. I'm sure we will at some point here. Sure, why not?
And of course, Dr. Squatch, you can become a member. Use our promo code DSQEXP for 20% off orders $20 or more for new customers. I said new customers, not nude customers. Nude customers is just implied when you're using
nude girl customers will
Dr.
get
Squatch.
50% off via Sean.
Look, I'll give you 20% off.
I'm sure you will.
If you're over 18, you'll get 20% off.
You know, I
Stop.
always go shopping at stores where, women's clothing stores where it says women's clothes 50% off. And I go in there and I'm really disappointed because none of the women have 50% of their clothes off. I'm sorry.
That was.
I'll
You gotta
quit.
shop in Hot Topic.
This is my last show. Bye, everyone.
They've all been drinking tonight. I
Smells
haven't.
his gifts.
No,
So,
we're sober.
Yeah.
We're
yeah.
sober.
Is
Look.
that ever true? Let's go to the
sober.
news.
It's water.
Let's go to
I had
the
that
news.
one
News
time.
time. Today's episode of the Sasquatch Experience is brought to you by Dr. Squatch Soap.
And shampoo.
And shampoo. Dr.
Dr. Squatch, soapies you up and cleans your crotch. Feeling clean, smelling fresh. The girls will want to take off their dress. Look out! Here comes the Dr. Squatch.
No, you're not a superhero, but you can feel and smell fresh like one with Dr. Squatch soaps and shampoos. Many exciting scents and purposes to achieve a clean and odor-free you. Use our exclusive promo code DSQEXP to receive 20% off $20 or more. Dr. Squatch soap, square shape that feels great. Promo code DSQEXP.
Dr. Squatch, Dr. Squatch, soapies you up and cleans your crotch. Feeling clean, smelling fresh. The girls will want to take off their dress. Look out! Here comes the Dr. Squatch.
Well, finally, there's peace on the surface of the planet. There's no violence, no uprisings, and no... Oh, wait, that's on Uranus. Wrong planet. Although if you have a piece on Uranus, I'm sure Dr. Squatch will help remove that. This is the Sasquatch Experience, stranger than fiction news and stories. And let's get into some creepy stuff. Monsters. So they're huge and scary looking and could soon be moving into most of the eastern seaboard of the United States, according to new research. But don't worry too much. Joro spiders are harmless to humans, even though they're highly venomous, and even do some good. People should try to learn to live with them. Yeah, okay. Adam Davis, a research scientist in the Odium School of Ecology, and one of the authors behind the recent study, told UGA Today, a publication by the University of Georgia, the study says that the palm-sized Joro spider, which is about 3 inches long, about the length of your index finger. See, everybody's looking at their index finger right now. And you're all saying, oh, crap! No way! Anyway. So these spiders, largely confined to warmer southeastern states for nearly a decade, could soon be expected to colonize regions with colder climates. Jerks. That's because researchers have discovered that the large arachnids, with their brightly hued blue, black, and yellow striped legs, have a higher probability of surviving a brief freeze than other closely related species of the same genus. The Joro spider, like I said, can grow to be about 3 inches long, including a large bulbous body with bright yellow stripes. Its underbelly has a distinctive red markings, and it weaves a large web that looks as if it's spun from golden silk. It gets its name from the Jorogumo, which means in Japanese folklore that it can turn itself into a beautiful woman and prey on unsuspecting men. In this country, I believe we refer to those as cougars. Of course, we'll get the fact checkers in on that one. Despite their startling appearance and their namesake, Davis notes that Juros don't appear to be harmful or have much of an effect on local agriculture or ecosystems. In fact, he says, they may be beneficial to native predators like birds as an additional food source. And while they kill their prey using venom, scientists say they are harmless to people and pets because their fangs are usually too small to break human skin. Usually. That means they could be big enough, so run away! It says here in a side note, if a web is in your way, just move it out of the way, but note, they will return. To learn more about their biology, researchers compared the Joros to golden silk spiders, a closely related species that originated from the tropical climates in Southeast Asia and established itself in the same region of the United States over the last 160 years. They found that Joro spiders have a metabolism twice as high as their spider cousin and heart rate 77% faster when exposed to low temperatures. I'm kind of curious to know what their heart rate would be when exposed to a flamethrower or a nuclear weapon. The article goes on to explain that Joro spiderlings use what's called a ballooning technique in order to travel, which they spin a thin web, which catches an air current and parachutes them up into the air for miles and miles and miles. And then they have to come down at some point in your hair or in your car, causing a 12-car pileup on the interstate. Joro spiders are native to Japan and likely made their way here to the U.S. in shipping containers. Well, thank you, supply chain breakdown once again. This is the Sasquatch Experience, Stranger Than Fiction news and stories. Thanks for listening. And let's get back to whatever it was we were doing before I interrupted this whole thing. Thanks again. I'm sorry. I apologize now.
Dr. Squatch. Dr.
I thought you
Squatch.
kept saying churros, and I was excited, and then you said spiders, and I'm like, I don't want a churro spider.
What the hell?
When you got an itchy crotch.
I tell you what. Is the news still playing or is it done?
No, we're done.
Because my screen is frozen.
Yeah, well, no, we're back.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah,
God, nobody wants that view. Holy Christ, am I large? Shut up. Nobody. One fat joke and someone's gonna die. Okay.
Dude, you've lost a lot of weight, so good for you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, next week the show's going to be 200 pounds lighter. Anyhow, so we're back from the news. Thank you, Vance, and your beautiful marketing right there. I have no words.
Either do I. I don't know what went through me. I have no idea.
Built a web.
I don't know. But we're back from break, and what we're going to do here is we'll go right into the next video. Prince Edward Island Bigfoot video. Now, this one is also interesting. I'll go ahead and get this ready to set up. Henry, you want to give a little background on the Prince Edward Island video?
Well, there's not much background other than it's a group of guys who are out there videoing, and all of a sudden something comes running through there on all fours. Quadrupedal.
Right, from what I understood, they were shooting an independent, kind of a low-budget type of movie. And this happened while they were in the midst of recording. Well, no, I don't think it was porn or corn or anything else that rhymes with it.
Okay.
But it was a low-budget thing that they were recording, and they asked one of the individuals to run out of the woods towards the camera. You can see, a lot of horse flies and other buzzy insects. But, we'll throw our opinion in there. After
Let's play it.
Let's play it. Last Prince Edward video where he was on.
Stop it.
Our teacher is telling the students to stop.
Okay.
1 hour a week.
Yeah, so that's all you ask.
Hey, I'm 100%
All right, go.
This. Where's that Squatch?
So this is the horror film. No, but then that's...
Holy shit. Did you see that?
But why is he running away from it?
Well, I think he's running towards it.
Right.
The guy with the
really
camera.
Okay, let me back up. From what I understood, they were shooting an entirely independent film.
Yes.
And this person was supposed to be running out of the woods as if it was being chased. And this thing ran out, whatever it is, and I have my opinion on it, behind them unexpectedly. And this is what they had captured. Again, this is on Prince Edward Island.
Right.
Farther north.
Well, it's just really interesting. Like, because it doesn't look that large.
No. And I would throw my opinion in onto this, but, you know, I would like to everybody else have their...
I'm sorry, the slow-mo audio footage is just making me laugh. Could you hear it? Is either that or Henry didn't eat before the show? It was
Yeah, let's just cut the audio out altogether and just watch the video.
Jabba no bargain.
And if it was a bear, wouldn't they have been able to identify it? Wouldn't they have been saying, "Look at that bear"?
Right.
Well, you know, who knows? I mean,
Well,
at the time, it was 2001.
Right.
I mean,
Here's
we knew
a
it.
take that I took on this. I saw this when this was first released back in 2001, and I probably have watched the video in quite honest opinion, probably 40, maybe 45 times. What I get out of it is whether any of you guys are familiar with what dog tracking is. Dog tracking, dogs do this on a normal basis. They'll run with their hind end out anywhere between 30 to 45 degree angles behind their head, watching on a specific target. And bears are known to do this as well. So it's almost running sideways to keep its head focused on a distraction or a possible threat as it came out of the wood from one wood line to the other. It looks like a fire break to me. I haven't been to that area. However, I've seen bears do this, where they'll kind of run sideways from one side to another so that its body is facing whatever a threat may be. And that's kind of what I see in this video. I'm not saying that's what it is, but that was my first initial instinct. And for all the times I've watched the video, over the 45 times, and I'm just putting that in a pretty close proximity for the amount of times I've seen the video, I still keep seeing the same thing, that it's quite possibly a bear that's dog tracking, keeping its head facing forward towards an unusual target, but moving from one side to another. So almost running sideways.
So what's interesting is, for the love of God, what's interesting is that, again, sizing, very hard to determine. It doesn't look that large. Even in contrast to the person running away from it, it doesn't look that sizable. And then other than that, like, could you roll out a bear? No, but you can also roll out a real... I don't know, the speed of it's kind of impressive, though, for somebody in a costume. I mean, to be that
I can't move
limber
that fast.
in a costume, you know what I mean? Like, that's a little something. Doesn't rule out, though, that it could be someone in a costume. Also doesn't rule out that it could be a bear. What's very interesting, though, is if you go on to, like, the Reddits and all these other, places where you can discuss Bigfoot, Prince Edward Islands and Manitoba are still on that fence of videos that have a lot of merit because they haven't been proven to be a hoax.
Right. And there's a lot of witness encounters where a Sasquatch, so via the witness encounter testimony, says that it runs on all fours. It'll use its hind arm or its front arms and its hind legs to actually create a mode of transportation.
Like an ape.
Exactly, like an ape does. And that could be possible too. We clearly don't have enough definition in this video to see that. All I'm giving is my personal injection from what I see, but it certainly is nowhere near to be saying, nope, that's definitely what it is. I think, it's open to many plausible ideas.
Go ahead, James.
I have a logistics question. I guess it is. The man's taking the video of the first man running, then he sees the other thing. The thing is going across like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the guy is going the opposite direction, trying to act like he wants to video it. Like, you clearly see it duck behind the tree, but he's running towards where it originated, not to where it's standing in the moment. And he keeps running the opposite way. So if you hear him, he's all like, "What is that? I got to see what it is." Like, why aren't you facing the other way and going towards? Like, if you're going to run willy nilly, like I wouldn't have personally ran because God knows get mauled by whatever it is. But if you're going to actually run towards it, why are you running away but not angling the camera that you can see it?
Yeah, no, good point. I think
logistically, I think he wasn't really in that vibe of.
I don't know, because if you're going to go take that bend around, because you're going around a wooded area to get into that clearing, it seems from that video, you might want to give yourself a little berth if you're going through that area and you don't know how close that thing is on the other side of those trees. You know what I mean? It could be taking a big loop around, but to your point, why didn't you have the video trained onto the area that you were looking to run to?
Because the farther he went the other way, the less you saw the creature. Where if he'd have panned it just a little bit this way, I know that I've got the problem with the reverse mirror shit, but if he would have panned the video the other way, like this way, I almost got that, and he would have had a bigger view of the whole creature compared to let's run this way when it's running that way.
Right, but from what I understand, this was not meant. This capture was not intended for anything Bigfoot related. This was an independent film that some high school kids were putting together, and he was running. The script was entirely different, and he was running out of the woods towards the camera. That's what that shot was supposed to be. And when he ran towards the camera, this thing came out from the tree and ran from one side to the other. So this was unexpected to anyone. And then the cameraman
went rogue and said, "What is that?" And then ran away from it instead of towards it. And the more he ran away, the less you saw of it. So he might have gotten more film because honestly, it was coming towards them at an angle. So if he wouldn't have been running away at an angle yet saying, "Oh my God, what is this?" at the same time, he would have gotten more film and maybe an idea where it went. Now realize, and Sean has had an actual incident. You guys have had actual incidents. I realize in the moment your brain is like, big furry thing could just rip me apart or touch my parts or whatever. But he's like, "Oh my God, what is this? I need to see it." Yet he's not doing anything that like hand is not working where the brain should be,
So my question for you both is, well, all three of you, is how do we know this wasn't the student film? We're taking for granted what they're telling us is that they were out there filming an independent movie and so on and so forth. But how do we know what they filmed wasn't what they went out there to intend to film?
Right.
We don't know that, right?
No.
We're taking it for their word that this wasn't what they wanted to do. This could have been their whole modus operandi the whole time.
Or it could be a Blair Witch, where they made a film. They wanted people to talk about it, so they put out this clip that they did something else. Now you're talking about their film. I'm sure.
Yeah,
if you go
we're saying
clip,
the same thing. You're just being a little bit more elaborate on it. But you and I are on the same wavelength with that. This could have been exactly what they were looking for. Will asks in the chat, why is only one guy running away? That's a great question because the other guy runs towards it. Which I'm not saying that's the definitive, people react differently to different stimuli. A large, hairy creature running after me into the woods, I'm probably not sticking around to find out what it wanted. My fat ass is heading down.
From what I understood from the entire analysis, from when this first came out, this was, again, an independent film with a script totally unrelated to anything Bigfoot.
But do we know
this
that?
Individual... Well, this is what their statement was.
Can they show us their script?
No, I haven't seen it. So all I'm saying is this is all that I have to go with, is that this individual was running out of the tree line towards the camera. in an entirely different script, and this just so happened to happen. Now, again, from the first time I saw it, it was probably 2003, 2005, somewhere in that spectrum when I first saw this footage, not when it initially was released. That's what I saw, was a bear that was dog tracking from one side to another. And maybe that freaked out the camera person who was shooting, going, expletives, and wants to kind of chase towards it to see what it actually was, and was unable to do so. But, it could have just been a series of coincidences that happened, or again, it could have been staged. And I go back to the Michigan dog man that was proven to be complete hoax, of this guy that set himself up in a ghillie suit. The way he ran on all fours towards the camera to hoax that entire scene. And when it first came out, everybody assumed, oh my God, this is the dog man of Michigan. This is the real thing. And of course, years later, he came out and wanted to do a part 2 to it. But he also did a video of how he actually put the ghillie suit on and was able to run on all fours at incredibly high speed through some kind of rough terrain. And it was interesting. And maybe this is the same thing happening again. I don't know.
Well, and again, it's a great elaborate story, and but it does nothing to back up. This. I want to see their script. I want them to prove to me, Vance, that they weren't out there to do exactly what they said they were doing. Right. I just want to see it, because what would be a cooler, if you were doing a project and you had to submit something? What would be cooler, out there trying to make your own horror movie? Or you go out there and you film Bigfoot evidence to see the reaction and the response it would get from the public.
Right.
I don't know about you, but if I'm looking to get a good grade, that's the one I'm doing.
I can't say that I actually did this, but for some reason there's a bell ringing in my head that I wanted to see what the entire production was that these kids created. And I don't ever remember being able to come up with anything. This is the only footage that I had ever seen. I never saw the full production of what they did that has nothing to do with a possible Bigfoot running across the fire break, or I'm assuming it's a fire break. So I kind of draw a blank at that. I don't see that.
Or, the script calls for Lumberjack Dan being chased by a bear-like creature. I mean, it's not unplausible. I mean, like me and Forker could run a suit and go out in the woods, and we could whatever, and say we were going to take a different kind of movie, and this is what we got. But I'll tell you now that at the end of the day, I'd like to see the before. I'd like to see the dailies. How do we know when they did the other scene with the lumberjack and the maiden that there wasn't one in the background?
Right.
We don't know. It's all left on the cutting room floor, or elsewhere, and that's a problem
to begin with, right?
Or it was never produced to begin with, and that's the problem we have with a lot of this footage. Save the Patterson film, save the Freeman footage, right? Nothing else we have has a beginning and an end. Even you could even make that same thing with the New York baby footage of that thing swinging in the tree. That Steve Cole spent a lot of time on. You can't call that anything but inconclusive, because there's still a lot of that. Now, that was taken in the background. That was what was interesting of that video. That probably, we'll have to get Steve on to talk about that video in itself, because he spent a lot of time on it. And if you're interested in it, Google it, the New York baby footage, Bigfoot film.
Right.
Really interesting. But, that stuff, about every decade, we get something pretty compelling.
There's, and when you say the baby footage, there's also another video that's kind of interesting that Les Stroud had. And Les Stroud, if anybody is familiar, Survivor Man, he had his camera in selfie mode. He was just talking. And it wasn't until they were actually breaking down and editing this to go to air that you see something in the tree in the background behind him, up in a tree, swinging back and forth. That looks very much like a small primate in the tree. I was going to say champese, but
does that
that's certainly not the right
in
word.
that video, does it match similarly what's going on in New York baby footage? Or is it different?
Yeah, there's the difference. There's clearly a difference there, but it's not unlikely to happen.
Les Stroud's taking a spanking out there.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Rogan kind of took him to task, saying, he's
Right.
financially benefiting from this Bigfoot thing, but I don't know.
Right.
Les Stroud kind of took some credibility beating from me when he hooked up with Todd Standing, but
yeah, no, me too.
At the same time, so did Bindernagel and Jeff Meldrum.
Yeah.
Even though they
but
were,
I don't know that
producers.
these individuals knew who Todd Standing was at the time.
Oh yeah.
That they
Oh
hooked
yes.
up. I don't think they knew his entire
absolutely.
history,
Oh yeah.
otherwise they would have
There's
run
no
away
way in
the
hell
opposite
Bindernagel
direction.
and no.
Right.
There's no way in hell Bindernagel and Meldrum didn't know who Todd Standing was
Right.
before they got into that venture. So
Right.
I understand trying to be a defender, but that's just wrong. They knew
Yeah.
who Todd Standing was going into that.
Yeah,
And,
and unfortunately, that sucks.
And he is just a mockery of everything that good research should stand for, and it's a huge disappointment on my end that they even lent their name to any project he was associated with.
Right.
You take it and do whatever you want with it, but for me, that it kind of sets me off because it puts us back. And understanding they were executive producers on a project and trying to be scientific advisors or whatever, but
Right.
you should know right off the bat you can't be scientific with a guy like Todd Standing. You just can't do it.
No.
And
I
now
totally
Les Stroud
agree.
taking a beating because of again, same thing. You got to question people's judgment in this. And that was bad judgment. And Les should expect that. You're going to join this field. You got to be careful.
Right.
There's all kinds of people coming out of the woodwork of people I've never heard of in this research before. Some of them have backgrounds in different things. The How to Hunt guy and, these others that aren't really making a big name or aren't making a popular name for themselves, but boys and girls, the popularity is not always,
Right.
the right way to lean. We can all say what we want to, agree with each other and fit in, or we can dare to be a little different. Moving forward with these things, like you got to know where the footage is coming from. You got to have the background. I think you definitely got to have that before and after footage that Baker was talking about. And, character's everything.
Right.
It is. And you got to get it, you got to get different eyes on it, and you got to do some analysis. Today is not the day to try to be the hero and get good Bigfoot footage and it be garbage, because you're going to be made a fool.
Well, to Baker's point, I find it kind of hard to believe with the Cass River video that we showed earlier in the show. Why is it only 4.5 seconds? If you're shooting a video, you're shooting a video of your kayak trip.
Yep.
So you would have probably 10 minutes beforehand, probably 10 minutes afterwards. You may be talking about while something walked across the river, but you only get 4.5 seconds. Nobody, even including me, when I shoot a video of my kitty, do I take 4.5 second footage? I don't. It's usually a minute long, minute and a half long, and there's something that happens long before, something that may transpire that I'm hoping to transpire. And when I'm on camping trips, or if I'm out on hiking and I have my GoPro or my phone going, I have a lot of footage previous and after the fact. And we never seem, well, I can't say we never, but in a lot of cases, we just don't get the before and after. And that's one point that Baker and I stand very strongly on. I want to see the entire thing lay out before me, because that makes it a little bit more sellable to the probability that you've actually captured something.
Right, because you hit record, you plan on doing something with it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or you got lucky. But like the fact is like you've already hit record, you've already committed to sticking around for a few minutes.
Right.
You might as well. You know,
Right.
like the new cameras now, when you take a picture, it does that live action view, so you get what 2 seconds before or a second afterward. So
Right.
even just pop up your phone and you got 4 seconds of something.
Right.
Now I realize back then it's a little different, but still, you hit record. You know, if when we had our vanishing deer sighting, if we would have had a recording, we would have had a recording
Vaporizing.
Okay, we would have had a recording of a half a minute to a minute before to 5 to 20 minutes
Beforehand.
afterwards, going, what the was that?
Well, just-
But that's exactly
Right.
what that 20 minutes was. But we would have that
Right.
video, and you can't tell me the people that were standing next to him weren't like, why did you hit the button? Like, we're still
Right.
trying to, like, right behind me could be a Sasquatch.
Right. No. I'm totally on board with you on that. I just want to see the unadulterated, unedited version of a lot of these videos. And there's some videos that are very compelling. Sean, you've seen them all. I've seen them all. The 4th of July video, but we don't get to see the pre-video, and we don't get to see. Why does it cut out when the second it hits a tree, to walk off and the video ends? It's like,
convenience.
No, you didn't shut the camera off at that point. I know you didn't. The video was still running, but you edited it right then and there. Just kind of throw your arms up in the air. I want to see everything, even if I'm bored out of my mind in the first 20 minutes before something happens. That's fine.
Henry, go ahead. Throw some opinion in there.
Yeah, you just why? Yeah, we go back to the question of why is the Cass River video only 4.5 seconds?
Mm-hmm.
There's really no excuse for that. But with the way our cameras are now, you can film infinitely.
Mm-hmm.
You really can. And that's the disappointing part about all this. Even VHS, you could get an hour, 2 hours on it.
Right.
Paul Freeman took advantage of that, by the way. Paul Freeman
Yes,
did a
he
lot
did.
of recording. And that's why I guess I get to be more of a fervent advocate for Paul Freeman. Yeah, again, character's everything, right? He had a reputation.
Right.
But, his video still stands as being a great piece of evidence. It's not been debunked. And his reaction to the thing crossing the path, there it goes. Like it's very natural, and he didn't make a lot of money off anything. Like if folks go back and listen to the Mike Freeman interview that myself and Maz Adams did in the archives, it's really good. Gives you insight into the man of Paul Freeman, and it's important because of we're talking about Bigfoot video. He still has one of the best pieces of footage out there, and it goes back to that. Your credibility, capacity, and he took advantage of that. He recorded hours upon hours upon hours in an area where there have been a lot of sightings, and he spent a lot of time frequenting. Like, it wasn't a day that he was out there and just happened to be lucky. I mean, he did, but he had spent a lot of time out there. And I think that's something that we're absent of these days too. Like, people aren't investing time in one research area, and they're just going out to film in the woods, and they're not, spending a lot of time or resource, acclimating themselves to a location and environment, really getting in there, getting to know the surroundings, getting to know the wildlife that's there, and spending that hours of footage. Because I tell you what, if we could change how we're doing things a little bit, we might be in a different ball game.
Right. Yeah, well, all I can say is if anybody has unusual Bigfoot video that's not edited, send it to us, because we will show it from the very beginning to the very end. We won't just clip
Right here
what it is that shows something. We want to see the beforehand and the after effect. And again, the Cass River video from Michigan is interesting. It's very interesting, but it's 4.5 seconds. Nobody shoots a 4.5 second video from a kayak when they're going to have fun going kayaking down the river.
Yeah, got to have more.
What happened beforehand and afterhand? That's my big thing. And that'll sell it a little bit better as to actually having a real encounter.
Wow, that hour went by quick, folks. Sasquatch Experience on Facebook and Instagram, Squatch EXP. Next week, there will not be a live show. We'll be absent, but we'll have something in the archives put up for our podcast people. Our podcast people. Good show tonight. Good dialogue as always, gentlemen. Thank you. Henry, take us home.
Y'all be good or be good at it.
We'll see you. We'll see you in 2 weeks, folks.
You've been listening to Sasquatch Experience. Please rate and review wherever this podcast is consumed. To share your experience, visit us on Facebook or email us, squatchexperience@gmail.com. Keep on squatching.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun.
Wow.